Hi, everybody. I'm Amy,
And I'm Micole.
and this is 9 to 5 Nightmares.
We talk about misconduct so you can avoid it.
And this week, we're spending a little bit of time focusing on not just what's happened over the last 30 days, but what may happen at your dinner table coming up, and really thinking about who's that creepy uncle, right? Or that person in your life that's saying things inappropriate at the holidays. Well, guess what? People say things inappropriate online all the time, and we find them, and they get fired from their jobs. And that's what we talk about, all the crazy things that either we find at Fama or we find online where people are posting things and getting fired for it. And let me tell you, right, Micole, over the last, I don't know, 3 to 6 months, we've seen such a radical increase
Oh, yeah.
in people getting fired for what they're posting online. So, um, the volume of people behaving poorly and making bad choices and putting it on the internet, it's
The
going up.
internet is forever. Yes, the internet is forever. And also remember the lines between personal life and professional life, now that everything is online. Let's just say, if you could be that creepy uncle, and before you open your mouth at Thanksgiving, you should think about, is this something that I'd want the younger people at my table posting that I said on the internet?
Ooh, that's a good one. I didn't even think about that. And thinking about too, people spend more time online than they do offline
Right.
right now, right? These are just facts. And if you are late to the show, late to the table, late to wherever, this is something that's not going to get any better. It's just going to increase and get worse.
Yes.
So, let's go through what we have today because these are some doozies. So,
Yeah.
the first one that we have, actually, you know what? I'm going to go out of order. Since we're talking about Thanksgiving, we're talking about food. How many people out there
Oh,
are getting DoorDash deliveries or any of your favorite delivery service? Well, let me tell you, do not fall asleep naked in your home in front of a window because you could then be posted online. So, McCall, tell everybody.
oh
Who
my
we
God.
got
Yeah.
with the
Well, let's
DoorDash
let's
driver?
encourage that behavior, Amy. But yeah, no, last month there was a DoorDash driver who was arrested and fired because they were making a DoorDash delivery and they found a customer sleeping or unconscious inside their home naked, and they recorded them and posted the video on social media.
I just like there's so many things. Like, just because you have a recording device in your hands all the time on your phone, right? Number one, doesn't mean that you can record anything and everything and post it,
Right.
anything and everything. People have right to privacy. People have to consent to be recorded,
Yes.
right? And it's not just
Especially in areas where they believe that they are have a right to privacy, which is in their own
Mhm.
home.
like, so there's so many levels of you shouldn't be doing this, but
So
here's an
many.
instance where common sense is just not there. And the humor or whatever the thing is in the moment, the viralness, whoever knows what that person was thinking at that time that made this a good choice has now felony charges.
And they were fired. They're not allowed to drive for DoorDash anymore. Also,
Mhm. So you lost your job,
I,
you're being charged with a felony.
I,
So moving on. Moving
as if
on.
we couldn't get any crazier from there. Somehow it does.
Oh, yes, it does. All right. So now we have a sheriff's deputy who is cyber stalking a woman that he met on social media. And I will tell you again, the police are showing up, law enforcement is showing up
Every month, every month.
every month with the most ridiculous things. Not only are they doing, but they are doing them on duty. On
In
duty,
uniform,
in
in
uniform.
police material, so like in police vehicles, using police confidential information. Yeah, so speaking of creepy uncles, this guy in Florida actually,
Oh,
yeah,
where
this
where in
one,
Florida?
Vero Beach,
Oh, not far from us.
not far. No. Yeah, so this guy, he met a woman on social media and with that, like, was way more into her than she was into him. And he looked her up in police databases, found all of her information, and started stalking her, driving by her house in police cars and police vehicles. He sent her over 20, like dozens of sexually explicit messages and images from inside his police car on duty in uniform. And he's been an officer or a deputy for 10 years. He was leading some of the training activities in the department. Now they don't know if he's done this to other women, and they're thinking that he has. And the department, his boss, is actually asking women to come forward if they've had similar contact with him.
This, like, there's just so many levels of wildness that's going on with this. Like, coming
Yeah,
from an employer's perspective, right? The fact that all of these things happened, you know, at the office, using work equipment, using restricted data,
yeah,
right? That,
confidential information. Yeah,
you know,
government data. You're not allowed to do that.
and the fact that there was not enough things in place to let people know that this was happening. So it'd be a whole bunch of other conversations to be had here. But, this is just a moment where people just make choices that are poor choices. And it is possible too, Micole, that this is the only time and the first time that he did this, which goes along with something that we've been talking about a lot internally is just because somebody's behavior is one way at one period of time in the beginning doesn't mean that that's how their behavior is going to stay over time. And, we do two different kinds of screening. We do, okay, you're going to hire somebody, you want to screen them, you want to see um, if they've behaved like this sheriff has behaved in the past, and do you want to take that as a part of consideration on whether or not you're going to offer them employment? Um,
Yeah,
and then we also screen current employees,
yeah,
cadences like once a month, once a quarter, once a year. And the reason for that is we are seeing so many more and more instances of
yeah,
people's behavior over time changing. So this is a good example. We don't know, but if this is the first time that this person did this, right? Um,
yeah,
you need to make sure that how you're monitoring screening for people, you're thinking
yeah.
about the fact that their behavior can change over time. And it can also be incident specific too. Sometimes there's things that happen and people react to them and have a strong reaction to them
Yeah. I think
that,
it, yeah, 100%. Like, I think it's important to distinct in some cases where it might be like a one-time incident versus many choices and many instances. For this particular guy, he drove by that woman's house several times. He sent dozens of messages to her. He reached out. He was go using his police uniforms and vehicles several times to go outside of his jurisdiction to like find her places. So I think that in this particular case, like the level of escalation has gone far beyond anything that you can kind of like take back, because it was so many instances of it. But I think in a case like potentially the DoorDash driver, where it seemingly was just one instance, it was a very bad choice. Hopefully, that person, you know, learns from their mistake
right.
and doesn't engage in something like that ever again, and kind of like can self reflect on that. So I think that there, to your point, there's a difference between a one time mistake and over and over and over again choices that continue to harm people longer term and stuff like that.
And I think, employers have to make sure that they have policies and solutions in place that are solving for both at the
A
same.
100%. Yeah, one hundred
And I
percent.
think that's really the key is that you've got your code of conduct, you have
Yeah,
your policies, but it's also being able to make sure that people are adhering to that code
yeah,
of conduct and those policies over time. Go
yeah,
back to even like the Coldplay concert like
yeah,
incident,
yeah,
um people change all the time and their behavior
yeah,
is going to change. And who somebody is today and what their behaviors are today aren't always an indicator of what their behaviors are going to be in the past. And I think the hard part is that we live in a world where if you make a bad choice, like the DoorDash driver,
Yeah.
um, or you get a viral moment like the Coldplay couple, right? I don't even
Yeah.
call them couple, the people that were having the affair, you know, you can't walk that back. And it's hard,
No.
there's not a lot of wiggle room these days to make mistakes, although the mistakes that people are making and the choices that people are making tell you a lot about these people, right? Because you and
Yeah.
I are sitting here, and I think, we could say a vast majority of people in both of these instances, the DoorDash driver or the Coldplay issue, would not be making those same choices. And that's the key. If you get a
Yeah.
whole bunch of people in a room, what is the general consensus on appropriateness, right?
Yeah. I think the other thing
What
too
side?
is that um I think it's critical for accountability. And so in this like had the DoorDash driver not been fired, not been facing a felony, it's one of those situations where would this person learn from their mistakes? And would this person even think that their behavior was a mistake? But and I think that accountability is critical in that kind of change in the behavioral change. And so hopefully everyone involved has the consequences that are appropriate for the actions that they took, and that they learn from these behaviors, and that they don't do it again. Unfortunately, our own data shows that's not necessarily the case, because when somebody has one misconduct incident, they generally have a lot of them, like 19 of them, I think our recent research showed. But
Well, I think like that's
we do
really
like
it's
to see
a
the good in
pattern.
people. Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
pattern of behavior, and I think that that's what you want to try to
Yeah.
identify and determine on your own, and whether or not that's a pattern of behavior that would work well in your organization or not. And I think, one of the patterns of behavior that we keep seeing over and over again
Yeah.
is in the healthcare system. And we
Yes.
have yet another incident where something going on
Ugh.
in healthcare is problematic. And so we had a viral TikTok that was a whole incident of a woman who was having a baby and was
Yeah.
asked to wait in the waiting room while she answered
Oh, it was so much worse
questions.
than that. So much
Yeah,
worse
so
than
tell
that.
me more of the details of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, historically speaking, there has been a lot of racism in healthcare, and especially among Black women in the healthcare that they receive has historically been not as good as what other segments of the population receive, and especially even women in labor and women in childcare. Women's health as a whole is understudied, underfunded. Women experience significant levels of sexism in healthcare, and what's was horrible. I watched the video actually just scrolling through my feed, and I was like, couldn't talk for several minutes, but this woman was in active labor. She drove to the hospital. When she got to the hospital, the staff told her that she was using the wrong entrance, and she had to go around and use another entrance, even though she was literally in active labor. And when she went to the other entrance, they didn't have a wheelchair ready for her. Mind you, this mom called ahead to make sure that the hospital was ready for her, and they didn't have a wheelchair available. Thankfully, this woman had her mom at the facility with her. So her mom was running around this hospital trying to find her daughter, who was in active labor, in their car, a wheelchair. The mom finally finds a wheelchair, goes to pick up her kid who's in active labor, and the nurse is just standing there, not helping at all, just watching the mom try and get her kid who's in active labor out of the car into the wheelchair so she can deliver her inside. And then they made her wait 30 minutes in the waiting room, 30 minutes in active labor. And before they took her back, And then while she's in labor, the nurse, instead of taking her right up to labor and delivery, starts doing a normal intake procedure. So, who's your doctor? How long have you been doing XYZ? What's your name? Well, we can't take you up until you sign this paperwork. And well, I when do you think the baby's coming? How long have you been in labor? And her mom is like, what do you think is happening right now? She's screaming in pain. She can't sit still. And after all of that, 12 minutes later, this mom gave birth, and the kid came out with the kid's eyes open because of the stress that the nurse had put them through. The kid apparently had a bowel movement inside the mom that wasn't a right color, and so the mom's now not feeling well. And now this mom is like, what, like that is such a traumatic experience for anybody, such a traumatic experience for somebody in active labor. Like, what the hell? What the hell? Like, I had no words. I had no words.
I think that this is a moment where, you know, like video and recording things becomes beneficial,
A
right?
100%. Had
And
this mom not stepped in to record this, how many other patients have experienced the same exact situation with that one nurse?
and I think too, I think about this not just in the immediacy and all of the things that you talk about, but I think about it in relation to um everybody that was a part of that video that was a staff person.
Yeah,
um, they're going to have a career, they're going to have a long career history. And
yeah,
if I were to put myself and put the hat of a future employer on, right? And any of those people that were staff that were involved in this and perpetrating this experience by this patient,
yeah,
I would want to know that and I would
a
want to
100%.
understand that. And there's a whole bunch of different layers of this. Number one, this video went wildly viral.
23
So,
million people saw it within days.
so if you are an employer that's going to bring one of these people on board as an employee, you have to
Yeah,
be ready for the potential of this resurfacing for years,
years.
years, years.
Yeah, 100%.
And you also have to be ready and prepared for that. And, you have to take this into consideration, or you should be taking this into consideration as part of the hiring of somebody who's potentially one of the people that was participating in this. And so I think this is a really interesting example of where you have somebody who is documenting an experience of customer service, right?
Yeah, a hundred
And
percent.
and that customer service is woefully, woefully inadequate, woefully inadequate.
And a
It's
violation of
putting
policy because, like, you've been to a hospital before, I've been to a hospital before. Triage is a real
well,
thing.
well, this is the whole thing. Not just a violation of policy. I mean, people's lives were potentially in danger in this situation,
Yeah, a
right?
hundred percent.
And
Well,
and
but that's the policy. It's like triaging is for that reason.
right.
Like,
And
yeah,
so I think like you have to really take into consideration that social media impacts you as an employer in two ways. It
yeah,
is the behaviors and things that people may post on their own accounts that work for you that you have to
right,
understand and that they're posting publicly. And then it's also the recording, the experience of whomever your customer, your patient is, them documenting that
right,
and having the potential to have a global audience of that
right.
experience. And so I think it's really important to understand this in the complete totality of it and
Yeah,
how you need to be looking at things and being concerned. And even too, we were talking about, I don't know why I'm so on the Coldplay thing today. Going back to the Coldplay thing, I would want to know
yeah,
if I was going to hire either one of those people that they were
yeah,
involved in that because chances are when you go and bring those people into your organization, that moment is going to come up again, and you have to
Yeah.
make a decision if you want to have that or not. And I think that these moments are going to become so much more common
Yeah.
than not common, and
Yeah.
just to kind of bring it all home to some of the things that we've found in the last 30 days that have come up in our screenings and reports. So when we talk about these things, this is a combination of, hey, what's going on in the media of people getting fired, and then also what are we finding in Fama
Yeah.
reports? And one of the things that we found was we're screening for a university executive, and um, this is wild that it was
Oh, yeah.
a video that came up accusing the person of trading grades for sexual favors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, one, this is totally another creepy uncle incident where, yeah,
Well, we
it's,
kind of got off the creepy Uncle Thanksgiving thing because these other incidents were so big. We got to go back to that. We'll tie
I
it.
know. Well, that's,
We'll discuss
yeah.
it
But like,
then.
honestly, like, I don't know how you come back from this. Like you just uninvite them from Thanksgiving when they start like sending like when you want to trade favors with students, like it's just like such an abuse of power on so many levels because it's like the power dynamic and then it's like the creepy sexual things. And then it's like also like if if your family found out about your uncle, like why would you want your like the kids and the grandkids to be around that creepy ass dude? Like, ugh,
Yeah, and I think like in this instance,
ugh.
you've got somebody who is applying to be an executive at a university. They have this in their background. If they hadn't screened their social media, the video would not have surfaced. It wouldn't have come up. And you
Yeah,
risk of hiring somebody where this is like full on recorded that this is happening, right? That would
yeah,
have gone out, like it would have popped up. And again, that's
yeah, 100%.
it's an incidence of, you have to know who you're hiring. Like know who you're hiring. It doesn't mean that you can't hire people that have issues in the past. I mean, I'm a big proponent of giving people second chances and people learning from past behavior, but you've got to at least have those conversations and be ready for it. And, as we get ready for Thanksgiving and thinking about all the conversations that happen at the dinner table, think about how you're going to behave at the dinner table. Somebody's going to have a camera, and I think Micole, you were spot on. Is the camera going to be, one of the younger people in the room? But age doesn't really matter as much anymore. Almost half the workplace is a digital native, so it's people from all age brackets that are going to be there and not just taking in and participating in the conversation, but taking parts of the conversation, posting it online and thinking about, hey, you know, where is this gonna go? Because I guarantee next
Oh
month
yeah. Next
we're
month
gonna
is going to be
have
in
a
wild,
ton
right?
of things
Yeah,
where
yeah.
people did X, Y, and Z, right?
At Thanksgiving.
At Thanksgiving, and it showed up online. And of course, we're gonna have the legit how many people are deep frying their turkey and the
Oh,
deep
don't do
frying turkey
that.
incidences, right? Like,
Oh.
good
I
luck
mean,
with
that's not
that.
misconduct, but please don't do that.
Yeah,
Please be
so we're
very
gonna have
careful.
all that stuff. We're gonna have the fun stuff, but then we're also going to have a whole thread of behavior where people did ridiculousness, and we're not even talking about Black Friday shopping, right? Like, I mean, way back in the day, replay when there used to be mobs and mobs of people throwing kids in front of places to get that TV, to get that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
Don't abuse
so
your children or your
yes,
elders or your spouses to get any Black Friday
or
deals.
buy
That's not,
online.
yeah.
Oh,
No
very
abuse.
good.
This Fama's new tagline. Just kidding, but no abuse. Be a good person, do good things.
So, yeah, Nicole and I will be here again 30 days from now. We'll be talking about all the ridiculous choices that people made, how they got themselves fired, right? Because I'm
Um,
Amy,
and I'm Micole,
and this is 9 to 5 Nightmares.
and we talk about misconduct so you can avoid it.
All right, everybody, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And don't
Bye.
end up on our show.
Please don't. Please don't. We would love to stop doing this show. Please don't.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.